nostalgic crush on that song. Alrighty, welcome to another review from the Glass Moonlight Angel, aka me. I finally figured out how I want to do this review. I love this series to death. I watched the English dub first. It's now a guilty pleasure of mine watching how well the Japanese dub did. But for now, I'm going to review the books. And currently, because I only have 1 through 6, this will be done within each volume. Canada-wise, they're going to be released bi-monthly, so I don't get number 7 till September. I'm really sad about it. I kind of wish they all came out at the same time. I can buy them all and just bask in their glory. Oh, what am I talking about? Well, if the wonderfully scripted song. Okay, it's not wonderfully scripted for lyrical depth-wise, but Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon. Alrighty. Number 1. Now this book is for those people who have not grown up with the series. I was a kid in the 90s. It was on around the time of Dragon Ball Z. So both me and my brother. I think Sailor Moon came on first, so we would watch Sailor Moon and then we would watch Dragon Ball Z. Oh my god, did I ever love this series as a kid. And even as a teenager, I adore this series. Reading it again, first off, I want to point out that they do kind of include a spoiler, but I think for the uninitiated, it makes sense. But and the cover, the art inside these books is just phenomenal. I love it. They introduce the characters, and it's done through Usagi, who is known as Serena in the English dub. We're introduced to even some minor characters like Haruta, Naru-chan, Umino, and Furu-chan. Furu-chan is the guy who owns the game center. Naru-chan is Usagi's best friend. Umino is the otaku, who is really super smart. And Haruta is Usagi's teacher. Well, they're well developed. And when Usagi becomes Sailor Moon, it's like, whoa. This ain't right. But you know what? For all the criticisms about how Usagi is lazy, dumb, whatever, I think that personality really suited her, considering when she takes on the role of Sailor Moon, it's something that, as a person and as a superhero, you have to grow into. That's one of the reasons I don't have a problem with Usagi being as dumb as she is. And in the manga, this is something I kind of liked. When Umino has to explain to Usagi who Sailor V is. Because the kind of, codename Sailor V comes before Sailor Moon. I think Naoko, pardon my weird verbal text, Naoko Takaguchi released codename Sailor V first, and then when this is what I've read on Wikipedia, when her editor suggested that instead of being one, they make it a group, and this is what really personified or really reimagined the magical girl style, brought it to the western side of the hemisphere, which is North America. And, well, I'm not going to get into that, but. So, when she talks about. When Usagi starts to go on about. Like, what is this? She starts to hear Naru-chan say, "Someone help me." This is also personified well in the first episode of the English dub. But the one thing that kind of gets me is that it wasn't just Sailor V who was intended with the mask. Tuxedo Mask has it, Sailor V has it, but all the Sailor Senshi were supposed to have masks. Why? Obviously it was to be more secretive and whatever. I'm not going to be talking about Sailor V as much in this review because Sailor V isn't... She's mentioned a few times, like, as in the video game, but she's not really developed as a character until Volume 2. Even though she has her own kind of book series before the time of Sailor Moon. But they introduce Usagi. She's very... She can become brave when she needs to be. She's very ditzy and clumsy, but like I said, that's what makes her character better than someone like Rei or Ami, in my opinion, because she actually has to grow into that. They all grow into their stronger forms, I will say this, but with Usagi, it takes more work than the rest of them, and that's why I personally love Usagi as a character. Now, with Ami, she's introduced to be in the same school as Usagi, but she's not in the same class, because they have the class divisions, where it's from class 2, class 5, class 1, whatever. Well, she's known to be very, very smart, and Usagi even says, maybe if I become friends with her, she'll show me all the parts in the textbooks where the teachers get their test material from. But it's just because Usagi's lazy. It's not like she'd want to take Ami's kindness for granted or use Ami as a way to do something. It's just showing that Usagi knows who to probably use in a situation where if she wanted to better herself by, like, say, copying a test, that's the person she'd do it from. Usagi's not entirely dumb, but school-wise, she's pretty dumb. And with Ami, her mother's a doctor, and her father, there's something else. I can't remember. Maybe I'll look it up. Yeah, I'll make you guys watch me look this up. Okay, yeah, that's first kind of vicious alien set up by Jediite. Blah blah blah. September 10th, Virgo, blood type A, age 14. I love how when they're displaying the test scores of the smartest students, Umino doesn't show up on the top 5 list. Yeah, they mentioned that her mother is a doctor, but I think, you know what, it might not even be till number 2 that they talk about her father. 3 that they start talking about it. But like I said, number 2, different review. Alrighty. After they defeated, Sailor Moon defeats another enemy. And this is something that's actually really smart. When Usagi gets the transformation pen from the game center, and Ami-chan gets her transformation pen from the game center as well, but she doesn't know what it is. And I don't think Luna's there to really pay attention to it. But yeah. Luna isn't there when Ami gets the pen, so she's not totally sure. But I'll explain about the game center a little bit more and its importance in the story itself. In the anime, it didn't have an importance to it. It was just a bunch of girls playing video games after school. No importance to it whatsoever. But it becomes important afterwards. And when Usagi gets the transformation pen, in the anime, she transformed herself into a teacher, like a substitute teacher, or it was a superintendent, pardon me. It's either a teacher or a superintendent. For the life of me right now, I can't remember. But in the manga, she transforms herself into a doctor and talks about how many things can be overcome by the mind, like many illnesses. Which is true. Yet, like, with the common cold, it's usually people who have more kind of, if they have a little bit more happiness and they're not so depressed and groggy all the time, they tend to heal quicker. But when Ami becomes kind of immune to the brainwashing of the crystal disc, not till the very end does she... Not until after Usagi defeats the enemy that Jedi set up does Ami transform into Sailor Mercury. And then Luna starts talking to Ami, which is kind of funny because in the anime I remember both Ami and Mako-chan are like, how'd you learn to talk? Like, what the heck is this? Like, I remember when I was like, talking cat. Like, what? Okay, I'm not gonna question it, it's an anime. But, alrighty. So, along with 4 of the 5 senshi that you meet, okay, there is more than 5 senshi, I will say that now. But you don't meet the rest of them. You meet the last 3 in, well, the inner and outer senshi. You don't meet the 3 of the outer senshi until number 6. So I will introduce them another time. And you do not meet Sailor Venus until number 2. So, another time. You do meet all 4, I believe, of the, you meet all 4 Kings of Heaven, and you meet, I think you do. I'm gonna double check this, as I'm kind of doing right now. antagonists for this arc, the Four Kings of Heaven, and you slightly meet Queen Beryl. So, yeah, you do meet the 4 antagonists of this. Technically 5, but okay. So you do meet them. One thing I do like about some of the relationships between the characters, they don't really get into depth about how close she is with certain characters. Again, I will talk about this in volume 2. For one of the characters she's truly close with, in my opinion. Doesn't appear until then. But the characters are well introduced. Some of the things that they say are kind of odd, and I will get into in my review of number 6. I will get into one thing that kind of ticks me off personally, and in number 2 I'll get into the relationship between 2 of the characters that really, I think they should have done this route in the anime, but yeah. But for the most part, the 4 Kings of Heaven, again, their backstory doesn't really go on till number 2. Queen Beryl's mini backstories kind of appear in 2 and 3. And Darien doesn't explain, or Mamoru-chan doesn't explain his backstory until number 2. Number 2 has a lot of things that I do want to discuss, so the review of volume 2 will be much longer than this one. Overall, I truly, with having a few tiny little things, I personally think that this is a great way of introducing the characters that they introduce. The names are used cleverly. The honorifics are explained in the back. And yeah, for those people who have reviewed this re-release of Sailor Moon, and I remember distinctly remembering someone from the UK, I think, or Australia. People are not killing me for this one, but I specifically remember people just freaking out about they freaked out about how honorifics should not be used in the English language. Yada yada yada. You can mesh different things, but I think they're wrong. Despite all its faults, I truly believe that Sailor Moon is one of the greatest magical girl stories out there. There's another one thanks to Yezu Otaku. I'm really interested in watching it when I get the time to do it. But for the most part, this was a really, really good way of introducing everybody. And with girls, it kind of shows the struggles of, wait, why am I doing this again? And, like, their motives are unclear. And the one thing I really liked about Luna's explanation for why they don't know who the princess is right off the hop, it's not because they are blind and stupid. Not even Luna realizes that you suck, but the reader and viewers know that it is because of the kind of spoilery clips that are shown. But more or less, they talk about how the princess is under a seal, that once all the senshi unite, the seal will be broken and she'll reveal manga and this anime series. It's really close to my heart. I'm trying to give it the best review I possibly can. And for now, I'll leave you with my last little thoughts. Sailor Moon is awesome! I love it! Alrighty. Now, probably tomorrow or tonight, I will upload my review of